Hello and welcome to another Project Falcon Punch top 5 end of year discussion list. I am your host Dan, and it isn't really a guest this time because it's Alex, part of the channel. Alex, hello.
Hello!
How has your year been, Alex?
Oh, this year's been interesting, to say the least. I know it's gone balls up for many people. To be honest, this wasn't my worst year in the world as much as others were. I mean, I've had worse years than this, but it's definitely been challenging, personally, but also other reasons too. But on the bright side, at least almost every game I've played has been absolutely fantastic. At least the ones I've played. So the top 5s we're going to mention, each of those games I absolutely enjoyed a lot to the very extent.
Very good. Okay, so would you go straight into your top 5 then? What's your number 5?
Sure. Number 5, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I'm actually kind of shocked that this is as low as it is. I know obviously it's still, you love this game and it's on your list anyway, but I know you were really looking forward to this game to begin with, right?
Yes, I absolutely was. Especially after I finished the original Final Fantasy 2 years before it came out. And I was expecting it to come out a lot later, given Square Enix's development, but no, it came out really soon. And sure, it was just a Midgar section, but I was really enjoyed a lot of it because it was absolutely faithful to the original source material, but also added a lot of new twists, so it wasn't like a one-for-one retelling of the story. I loved the combat, I loved the environments in Midgar and how much detail they crammed into it. And do I have to mention, how phenomenal the music score is? There was a reason it won Best Soundtrack at the Game Awards, because they did such a fantastic job bringing the old staff in and catering to each character personality. And even though the story was 30 hours, which is quite lengthy for the Midgar section, it didn't feel too slow paced. It definitely felt like a lot of them was necessary in what scenes they delivered, and absolutely fascinating to start and then ended in such a good note that I'm absolutely looking forward to the second part whenever they release it.
Whenever that is in 5 years time.
Yeah, let's just hope it's not PlayStation 6 exclusive, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, a fan of the original?
I really did enjoy it. Obviously I'm not a massive Final Fantasy person. I've only played 3, which are 1, 6, 7, but 7 definitely held up well despite its age in the graphics department and, some gameplay aspects. Even though I knew the plot beats, because for ages people spoiled the hell out of it, I still found myself enjoying the journey getting there, and definitely something I'm glad I played, and I really should play 8, 9, 10 and so on whenever I get the time. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake was a cracking remake, of course.
Good start, good start. So, Alex, what have you got down for your number 4?
Number 4, Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, I just forgot you played this game. We were talking before, and I was listing off what I think is in your top 5, and I missed off Ghost, and I completely forgot you played this. So yeah, you tell me how much you like Ghost then.
Oh, I absolutely did, because I'll admit, it did take a while to grab me, longer than Final Fantasy VII did, but when it did hook me into it later on, I was, absolutely mesmerized by, its luscious, beautiful environments. It's one of the best open worlds I've seen of this generation. I could just mess around with photo mode and it could look like a lovely screenshot from Japan. Even the story picked up by the end, and even though it wasn't the most memorable compared to say other stories I played this year, the end was definitely a gut-punching finale, which I don't dare want to give away, but by the end I was like, wow, this is super good. Even though the side activities were a bit mundane, the stealth sections were absolutely fun to pull off. It's honestly one of my favorite stealth sections I played in a game recently, and stealth sections are hit and miss for me. Sometimes they could be really fun, like in this game, and sometimes they could just be absolutely frustrating, but this game pulled it off really well because, it doesn't feel frustrating, but it feels fun as hell to death animations are varied, and, the combat with different techniques, so it's not like it's exactly the same the whole time. It is similar for sure, but the executions can be differentiated from each other. So on top of exploring this luscious world and this insane amount of detail, it was definitely one of the games I absolutely enjoyed of 2020.
It's a really good game. I thoroughly enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so what have you got as your third favourite game of the year?
Third favourite game of the year, which I know is the cool game to hate, but it's The Last of Us Part 2.
How can you like this game? They did wrong on the characters, Alex. It's terrible. What are you on about?
Oh, the game's horrible because it has bad story scenes in it. Oh. But in all seriousness, though, it was absolutely a solid follow-up to The Last of Us. The Last of Us is one of my all-time favourite games, and Part 2, in my opinion at least, did not disappoint at all with how it handled, a lot of its story and how its narrative flowed through, and, how it was, following up from, the 5 years since the first game's ending, which I was absolutely hyped up to think about. In fact, next to Animal Crossing, it was my most hyped game of this year, and from the start of the game, I was absolutely hooked. For the first 2 hours, I'm not gonna lie, it was the most shocked I felt in a game, this year. It was to the point where I was like, I don't feel like talking, I'm just mentally drained because I don't want to say why, but for those who played it, you know why. But even without context from the story, it improves so much from the first game, right to the point where the stealth sections are more polished, the item management is not as tedious as before, and there's some bits in the first game where I wasn't immersed, but then it broke the immersion because the enemy AI was a bit mixed. Yes, even on grounded mode, the enemy AI got really off, but when I played survivor mode, those enemies weren't messing around, and yes, even though it was frustrating to repeat the same section over and over, you know, it was satisfying to like get the techniques right to distract the enemies, and with the new additions like dogs that can hunt your smell, or you know, like new types of infected, it was, you know, it definitely gave off like a worthy sequel kind of impression for me. And honestly, even without the shocking moments from the story, there was still some legitimately good moments in it. You know, like one moment in particular, so you play the guitar and you have to swipe the PlayStation's touchpad, and it gives you all the more immersed into it, and stuff like that is making me think, did these haters fall asleep through these moments? Because it's stuff like this that absolutely makes, they nailed it, you know, with the sequel. Just don't listen to the haters, just play it for yourself, keep an open mind, and if you don't like the story, fair enough, but don't like be so petty about a lot of its instances just because, oh, I'm not happy about how they handled this character or something.
I totally agree. Like, yeah, if you don't like this game for legitimate reasons, of course, that's fine. Like, I get it. But there were too many people out there that were hating the game for things that they'd clearly not played. Certain characters, I won't spoil it, certain characters, they were labeling them as a certain type of character, or they were labeling one character as transgender when they weren't transgender. It was like, one, why does that matter? But two, also, you clearly not played the game because that's not true.
Yeah, in fact, I've noticed as well, a lot of the haters behind this game haven't even played the game. Like, they just saw a YouTube playthrough and just took it at face value at that. When did they even check out the stealth mechanics? Did they check out, you know, the cool hidden extras and the legitimately beautiful moments?
Yeah,
no, I have a feeling they didn't.
Yeah, probably right. I love Last of Us 2 is no secret.
Absolutely.
So, what is your second favourite game of the year?
Number 2, to the surprise of no one, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Nice.
Out of all the games of 2020, this is labelled as debatably the most important one because, you know, it came out right when the pandemic came into full swing, we came into full lockdown, and it was the one time where we couldn't get to see friends and family physically, but we did get to play about an Animal Crossing because it was a great social game, it was very relaxing, it was the best escape, you know, from real life, because it has all the things Animal Crossing excels at, like fossil collecting, fish collecting, and so on, but then ups the ante with newer elements to them, for better or worse. And when I say for better, I mean bits like polishing up existing mechanics, like DIY crafting. Like, there's no need to keep junk anymore, you can just turn that junk into different items. You know, like how Switch entries of Nintendo franchises add refreshing takes on them? Well, Animal Crossing, I think, did the same kind of thing, and as for the worst, it was also the item durability, which got annoying for me the more it happened, but you know, one of those mechanics where it's like, I sort of lived with it, and like many have said, I know I did fall out with the game for like 3 months later because they still didn't add multiple item crafting, which to this day I'm still puzzled they haven't done.
Yeah.
Like, we still haven't raised our store level, we still haven't got Brewster, so I think the doing is to make the game last long for the next few years. You know, like, it has a bit of a mobile game structure, but despite that, I still enjoy checking out the game every now and then to, you know, fill out the fish when the new month started, or check out the holidays, like the Christmas one, the Halloween event. And even though I didn't play it that much compared to others, like, I put in 130 hours and everyone put like 500 hours.
Yeah.
Just being one of the longest lasting games of this year and being this fun, it definitely deserved to be number 2 on my list.
Definitely agree. It's a fantastic game, and I did a similar sort of thing as you. I didn't put in as many hours as other people, but like I put enough in, put it that way. Compared to other games, I probably spent the most time in Animal Crossing this year.
I'm not surprised, like, almost everyone I've spoken to has Animal Crossing in their, like, top 5, and for good reason.
It has appeared in quite a few of these top 5s, as people will see. So, Alex, I know what your number 1 is. It's no secret to me, and anyone maybe probably has figured it out because the thumbnail probably has it in there, but Alex, what is your favourite game of 2020?
Okay, number 1 is Persona 5 Royal.
But that game came out in 2017, Alex. No, I'm joking, I'm joking.
Like, I'm sorry, but if other people could have, like, 2019 games, I could put a re-release of a 2017 game on this list. Like I said, it's my list, I'll just do what I want. But anyways, Persona 5 Royal, it's some of the most time I put into a game this year, and as the pandemic died, I mentioned Animal Crossing as well, and even Final Fantasy VII I played as well. But Persona 5 Royal was one of those games that got me through this lockdown when I had to shield, you know, for health reasons, so it's like, I was engrossed into this phenomenal story all over again, but with quality of life features and, you know, new additions to the story that honestly did not feel tacked on. It felt like it fitted so well into the universe of Persona 5, especially with the Royal content, like with the new characters of Kazumi and got to Maruki, they added so much to the plot that I don't dare give away what rules they have to the story. But if you've played Persona 5 before, I definitely think Royal is justifiable enough to revisit it. And it's not just for the story reasons I love it, but even the gameplay reasons of how, they added grappling hooks for the dungeons, new all-out character-based attacks for the battles, and even the dungeon mementos is a ton more fun to explore compared to the first, because in the first, it was just the same kind of dungeons you went through each floor, but in Royal, the music changed, you had the new shopkeeper, you had like different ways to level up in the dungeons, and again, going back to the quality of life changes, which I know might seem like minor additions, but as someone who did pour like over 100 hours into the original game, it was definitely noticeable, and I was just so engrossed in it, I didn't really care. I just wanted to like 100% the whole game, get through all this is just good enough reasons, to put this as number one. I mean, if it's going to be like in my top 10 games of all time, that alone can honestly give it a number one spot in this list, so yeah.
It seems like one of the best JRPGs of recent memory, basically, of the last decade. So yeah, it's no surprise to see it's high up on your list, Alex.
Yeah, like, when I finished it, I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't think any other game could top this year, because it's just like a 10 out of 10 game. Like, I'm done for 2020. 2020 is just made for me. I'm with Persona 5 Strikers on the horizon, and I still gotta check out the Persona 5 anime. Oh my god, I'm just like in Persona heaven, honestly. I'll say this right now, Persona is like my favourite non-Nintendo franchise. That's how much I love it. So to see a game of this quality is like, of course I'm gonna put it number one. And even those who aren't into JRPGs, I get why it can put people off, but it definitely is worth the time if you ask me. It could take a while, I understand, but I don't think you'll regret it, if one plays it for themselves. So yeah, absolutely phenomenal stuff.
Good stuff. Well, Alex, thank you for giving us your top 5 as always. What would you like to plug? Your Twitter and your YouTube?
For now, I just plug my Twitter because it's not like I've made any content lately. So Twitter is where I'm definitely the most active. I retweet stuff. I mean, sometimes I retweet Persona art, which no surprise I do. But I also like to say what games I'm playing, or currently I'm trying to 106% Crash Bandicoot 4.
Nice. Okay, Alex. Also, big shout out, because anyone who's watching this, Alex has been helping me out immensely with the editing side of this, so he'll be editing the video for this. Look in all the descriptions, you'll see the credits, I guess, for each video that we do. But yeah, Alex has been helping out a lot, so Alex, thank you so much for helping me with these videos.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm more than happy to help out with editing these videos to get them out really soon, and I always like quality over quantity, so yeah.
Well, Alex, until next time, so long for now.
Right, see you all later. Bye-bye.